On May 5, 1898, workers in Milan, in the Lombardy region of the Kingdom of Italy, organized a strike against the rise of food prices. The first death in the unrest occurred at Pavia, also in the Lombardy region, when the son of Giuseppe Musi, a deputy from Milan, was killed by the police in an attempt to control the crowd. The next day, workers at the Bialy factory went on strike in there, mourning, and leaflets denouncing the events of the previous day were distributed. Riots broke out and 2 protesters were killed. Riots also broke out in the cities Florence and Livorno. Prime Minister Antonio de Rudini's government declared a state of siege in Lombardy, and the city of Milan. General Fiorenzo Bava Beccaris, whom the massacre is named after, and a veteran of the wars of independence that had unified Italy, was ordered to Milan. Infantry, cavalry and artillery were brought into the city, as well as railway troops, as the railway workers had gone on strike as well. The troops were mainly drafted from rural and alpine areas, considered to be more reliable in a time of civil unrest than those from the urban districts. Counting the reserves, General Beccaris had 45,000 soldiers at his disposal. On May 7, 60,000 people went on strike, moving from the working-class neighborhoods in the outskirts of the city towards the city center of Milan. Beccaris deployed his forces in the Piazza del Duomo, Milan's central square, determined to stop the strikers and force them back to the city outskirts and regain control over the central railway station. The troops met fierce resistance while trying to remove the barricades that had been erected, and were attacked with stones and tiles from the surrounding rooftops. Some of the demonstrators had even got rifles from the workshops of local arms manufacturers. General Beccaris ordered his troops to fire on demonstrators, and used artillery as well. The streets were quickly cleared. On May 9, 1898, the troops again used artillery to breach the walls of a monastery outside Porta Monforte, but they found a group of beggars who were there to receive help from the friars inside. According to the government, 80 demonstrators and other civilians were killed, as well as 2 soldiers. A total of 450 people were wounded. The opposition claimed 400 dead and more than 2,000 people injured. According to the New York Times, 300 people were killed and 1,000 were wounded. After these events, military tribunals were set up. General Beccaris personally presided over some, and handed prison sentences to 1,500 people. The conduct of the authorities was deemed by some to be a travesty of justice and a mockery of legal procedure. Newspapers considered to be in opposition to the government were suppressed, and several Catholic and socialist organizations were dissolved. Filippo Turati, one of the founders of the Socialist Party of Italy, or PSI, was arrested, accused of inspiring the riots, and given a 12-year prison sentence. He had actually been trying to calm the situation with a pamphlet calling on the demonstrators to be calm and patient, and arguing that their days for street fighting are past. He was released a year later, in 1899, after another wave of unrest in Italy. The whole experience convinced him that the way ahead was the parliamentary route, and he renounced violent action. King Umberto I praised General Beccaris and awarded him the Medal of the Great Cross of the Order of Savoy, a month later, to reward the great service you rendered to our institutions and to civilization, and to attest to my affection and the gratitude of myself and the country. On July 29, 1900, the king was assassinated in Monza, northern Italy, by the anarchist Gaetano Bresci, who claimed he had come directly from the United States to avenge the victims of the repression, and the insult of the decoration awarded to General Fiorenzo Bava Beccaris. The reaction, or overreaction of the military led to the demise of Antonio de Rudini and his government in May 1898, and created a constitutional crisis, which strengthened the opposition. The massacre marked the height of popular discontent with government, the military and the Italian monarchy. The new Prime Minister Luigi Bellu, who in May 1898 had restored public order in Bari, in the southeast of Italy, without using to martial law, introduced a new public safety bill to reform police laws, taken over by him from the Rudini cabinet. The law made strikes by state employees illegal, gave the executive wider powers to ban public meetings and dissolve subversive organizations, revived the penalties of banishment and preventive arrest for political offenses, and tightened control of the press by making the authors responsible for their articles and declaring incitement to violence a crime. The new law was fiercely opposed by the Socialist Party, which, with the left and far left, succeeded in forcing Prime Minister Bellu to dissolve the chamber in May 1900, after he had promulgated the new law by royal decree. Even members of his conservative constituency accused him of acting unconstitutionally, and he had to resign from office after the general election on June 24. On May